something I find really difficult to talk about, I thought I'd just try and address on this video, is God's law. As soon as I say the word God, and it's always been like that for me, when anyone says the word God, I go, oh, that God guy again. But if you reinterpret it, especially if you look at the word God, it's not really a name, it's a title. You know, there's lots of gods in the Bible, the book of books, you know, the books, the Bible. There's a lot of different gods, and they're not all the one God that's supposed to be, yeah? And the actual true name of God in the Bible version, literally, is Yahweh or Jehovah, yeah? In our translation. You translate it into different languages, it sounds different, but the meaning of that, Jehovah or Yahweh, spelt as a tetragrammaton, 4 letters, depending on which language you read. That word, or that name, title, Jehovah, translated means, I am that I am. I'll say that again, Jehovah, to my knowledge. Please write in the comments box below if I'm wrong, but the translation for Yahweh or Jehovah is I am that I am. Not he is that he is, or she is that she is, or they are that they are. It's I am that I am. That is the translation, yeah? And so how can you work out God's law when it's he is that he is, or, you know, what I'm saying is God is in you. God, if you read the Bible, it says you are made in the image of God, yeah? So you're not God, but you are in the image of God. Yeah? God didn't make cats in the image of him, or trees in the image of him, and stuff. There's a literal concept there. You know, regardless of the other layers of spirituality and wisdom that have been placed, that are also in there, embedded within the Bible script, the actual literary and mathematical and logical connections throughout the Bible reveal a lot of things that have to be the way they are. You know, it says God created you in your own image. Okay, so do I trust the Bible? Well, this is the crux, right? Because if you actually follow God's law, if you follow your natural law, the law of your own spirit, look at your own stubbornness, your own anger, your own happiness and your own love, your own life, the life. If you change the word God to the word life, or change the word deity to life, or whatever you want to, just change it to the word life and try that. You know, I have life in me. If I'm dead, I'm gone. There is no life. My body's still there. So what is in me? The Holy Spirit or whatever. Now, this ain't no religious preaching. What I realised a lot of years ago is that I always had spirit in me. I never called it God. I didn't have anything to do with the Bible. I just found it a miserable old book. And it pissed me off with religions, always telling you to pray to some external God. To me, that entire Bible circle, anybody who read the Bible was to me just deluded. Deluded. Now, I was researching law. But to be honest, I've always followed the universe in my life. Honestly, I've always followed what I called the universe or the cosmos. I never called it God. If I ever talked to the universe, it would say to me, don't fucking call me God. Whatever you do, do not use that word again. And so if I'm walking out on my own and I'm talking to God, then I never would address that entity, you know. So what am I talking about? Okay, I'm walking along and I'm talking to myself. Who am I talking to? Yeah, better not tell anyone when I get home, am I? You know, because, oh, you've been talking to yourself. So does nobody else but me in the world actually talk to themselves? Has nobody in the world but me got two sides to the story? Can nobody get angry and happy at the same time? Can you not be absolutely in loathing and pissed offness at your partner but love them to death at the same time? Can you not be really pissed off at your pet or your friend and be happy at the same time? Yeah, we're often caught in two minds. That's the devil, the doubt, the spiteful, the diablo. It means two, you know. So we've got these principles from the Bible which relate to the inner self, nothing to do with history, nothing to do with events. The events are only in the book to try to make it clear to you, without giving you the instructions of life, to try and make it clear to you how we can, you know, how the construct works. Look at it like an operating system. Windows. Say take Windows. There's lots of operating systems like Linux, BSD, Apple thing. So there's all these operating systems, right? In that operating system, there's maybe, I don't know how many lines of code, but I'd say 10 million lines of code. But I ain't got a clue. I mean, probably more. And these lines of code, they're on different levels. You've got, like, obviously your hardware level that runs off binary, noughts and ones, and that's then interpreted into, a 32 base system or 64 base system, and basically you come into an operating system that deals with a compiler language, an assembly language. So you're using almost words like print and go to and query and all these commands now. They're like not noughts and ones anymore. They're commands, because it's come up through its levels, and now it's comprehensible by an average mind, because obviously the hardware and the noughts and ones are made by a lot of people, and it takes a lot of time to decode that, where the computer can actually decode what man's already told it to decode in a millisecond, whereas it takes 10 men maybe a week to decode that, So we've still done the work, but we've mechanicalized it, and now we've turned noughts and ones into octal, into different binary systems, until we've got an operating system which is written in an operating system language that's not like English or German or African or whatever, but it is a language. And so you can write using mathematical terminology and other commands. You can write an entire million-line operating system program. Now, if you take some of them lines out there, there's a chance that the system may work, but there's a high probability that if you just take one square bracket and change it for a different bracket, or just change one character in that entire code, and it won't work anymore. Yeah, so, and the code is running all the time, and different pieces of it are called, executed. Different pieces of your operating system, what you're seeing now, it's all running off languages of the ages and wisdoms. And the proof that it works is you're watching my face on pixels, where the top left is pixel 00, and the bottom is then, depending on the definition of the video, another number. So it's interpreted, and you see it then as a show, which is good. Obviously, if you was to concentrate on the amount of pixels on your screen and not listen to what I'm saying, then there's like something lost in the message. So we've created them from binary all the way up through different operating systems, through language, through commands, all the way to this system that's running now. And if you look at that like the same as the Bible, the wisdom from the beginning of the book to the end of the book is a program. It's running. Now you have to really kind of read at least certain sections of the program to understand what they mean. The program from Jesus, say, the Old Testament and the New Testament. It's like DOS and BIOS and then the main operating system, but one can't work without the other. The Old Testament it's like it sets the context for what the New Testament's supposed to be. But the thing is, and if you read the Bible, and just get a Bible, if you're really interested in the world and you're really open-minded, and you maybe, think of yourself as a free person, a free thinker who's in touch with himself, then you won't mind risking peeping in the Bible, will you? And you read those first lines and you decode them. Only read 5 lines, 5 sentences, and if you think that it's talking about something else that's outside of yourself, then keep reading it. Different translations and all, I know about that, but there's different operating systems. There's Linux and there's the Mac OS and there's Windows, but they all do the same thing, don't they? They're all totally different language, though. Different syntax. One won't run just on another. So you have to take that one and reason with it, interpret it in your own way. You can't take someone else's interpretation. As soon as you've done that, you've externalized it. It's like, how does a lemon taste? Bite the thing. Suck it and see. You can't, get someone else's interpretation of the taste of a lemon. So, I didn't want to make a long video, but let's just look at the Bible. They've got the 7 days of creation. The 7 days of creation. I don't really care who created the universe. I did. You did. We all did. in spirit. It doesn't matter. It's a long time ago. Here and now is where we're connected to infinity, eternity. Yeah. So the 7 days of creation are not talking about how the world was created back then. We're talking about fractal layers where a reality, where something that's small is the same as something that's big. A cup of water is like, an ocean, except for the salt. So if you take the 7 days of creation, and I'll go into this into great more detail actually. I'm just going to take the liberty of reinterpreting the Bible. Probably not even reinterpret it. Probably millions of people have got this interpretation, but just missing bits somehow, Take the first 7 days of creation. They establish property ownership. Basically, if you take the Bible into a realm of law, it established property ownership. God said, "Let there be light." God didn't create the sound. Sound was already there as a principle. Yeah. So the energy is a harmonic thing to do with sound. So God then used that sound and said, "Oh, let there be light." But it's still a concept, right? So day 1 is, light and dark. Day 2 is water and air. Day 3 is land and plants. Day 4 is the stars and planets, and solar bodies, celestial bodies. Day 5 is then fish and birds. Day 6 is man and mammals. Day 7 is then symbolic of day 0, when nothing happened. Yeah, and it goes around in a circle. It's an 8 cycle. So when we look at it, man comes on day 6. That means that other things that come before it got there first. Big bit of cake, first come first serve. So God was there on day 1. The universe was there on day 0. If you take day 1 and day 4, day 1 is like light and dark. Day 4 is celestial bodies. Take day 2, water and air. Take day 5, fish and birds. Doesn't it correlate? Take day 3, the trees, plants and land. Take mammals. We eat the plants. That's what we've been given, a direct connection from day 3 to day 6. And if you notice the mathematical correlations between those as well. And so, in the Bible, obviously man wrote the Bible, so it's inspiration from wisdom, not, it's the wisdom from God, if you like. If we're going to be fixed on always giving God the credit for everything, then, okay, whatever. But the point of it is man was made on day 6, so the nature has really a higher authority, but there's nobody there to claim it. So on day 6, according to the Bible, God said to man, call things, give everything a name. Give everything a name. Name it how you like. It's up to you. So man went off and gave everything a title, a name, a title, and claimed ownership over that. Yeah. So there's two types of kind of ownership, isn't there? There's possession, what I'm in possession of, or what possesses me, and then there's 1/10 of that ownership, because possession is 9/10 of the law or whatever, and that 1/10 is title ownership. Yeah, ownership of the title of that thing. Right now. So 1/10 is title, and the 9/10 is possession. So that means if I have something in my hand, I might not own it, but I possess it. So, if it's a child, I can't just say, "Oh, well, you own it. I'll let go of it." Possession is 9/10. Ownership is just that name. It doesn't mean to say that that person owns that thing just because they gave it title. And so this is where the Bible comes in useful, because it establishes various jurisdictions and limits. And if we understood the Bible, we could hold those who use the Bible to their word. Because I don't really follow the Bible. I use it as a guide of how to talk to the godless people. The people who haven't got a clue about the universe. People who haven't got a clue about spirituality. People who haven't got a clue about themselves and pride and virtue. I'm not talking about an external deity. I do not believe in a deity. I believe in myself. And unless I'm a solipsist, then I believe that you're all gods too. But there's no such thing as gods because it's a plurality. And that's where the concept breaks down to the point where you can't call yourself a god, but you can say, I am as God. I'm as good as God. Because I'm left in God's office. He's not here. I've never seen him. His name's on the back of the door. You know, on the reflection, it almost reads dog, not God, because you're supposed to read it from the outside. But I'm on the inside, and there's a telephone there, and it's not, you know, and it rings. And I have to represent God then, don't I? I have to be as God because it's his office. You know, but I read the message on the door, and it looks like dog because it's, you know, mirrored. And I act like a dog, and I'm just loyal to whoever comes in and does anything. Oh, yeah. That is the problem. It's like authority, and the church has done the same thing. The church has put God up in the sky, far away from you as possible. You'll only ever get near to him when you're dead. That is an absolute anomaly. God is every minute with you, and Jehovah and all the other things, whatever you want to call it. I really don't like them words, so I never use them on video. This is probably the first time you've ever talked to me, you've heard me talk about God in this way. The Lord, you know, in the English Bible, a lot of it's just the Lord, and you have to look at whether it's all caps or lower caps and stuff to see which Lord it is. But like I say, you've got to read it like a computer script. Otherwise, you know, you just read, basically, even if you was always right about it, if a vicar told you it, it's no use. It's a book that solves the problem of the whole and the whole. You know, if you take a zero, there's an outside, there's a whole outside, whole with a W, the full, complete whole. And then there's the whole in the middle, which is a whole. You know, so the holy, holy Bible is a kind of way of doing mathematics with nothing, adding zeros together and getting a result. Any of you computers know the problem of like null pointers and division by zero and stuff like that. That is the problem. You know, and if we come back to this ownership and property ownership, which is a massive problem in society now, all evictions, all wars, everything is about property and ownership, right? But nobody owns nothing. Nobody owns anything, right? You know, we've been taught that we count to 10 because we've got 10 fingers. That's not true in the first place, because there's loads of societies and cultures that count in 12 or 60 or any other number. And the fact of it is we've only got 9 numerals, not 10. You know, if you count, I've done this before, so, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right, is there a 10? No, there's a 0. Zero. That's where your finger is. That's where the lost finger is. Frodo with the 9 fingers, you know. We've only got 9 numerals. That 1/10 of ownership, that 1/10 of title ownership is literally an O, a 0, O, own, O, debt, O. New World Order, own, backwards, own, O. Get it? If you try and own something, then you owe something. You know, so I'll just tie this up now because it's nearly 20 minutes. Basically, the reason I'm beginning to talk about the Bible is because it's, in my opinion, I've run out of other sources anyway. You know, you can read as many conspiracy books as you like, and you will still only hit the same wall that have it hit. Now, there's a lot of people practicing esoterics and spirituality, but as soon as they get a letter through the door or a bailiff standing at the door, all that spirituality goes out the window. And why? Because there's no guidebook that helps us establish our authority in society. But there is one book that they've been hiding, or something's happened with it. It's the Bible. It establishes zero ownership. It establishes a reset. It establishes the fact that you are the one who contains life. You are the one who has life. When you sleep at night or when you're gone, then this becomes irrelevant anyway. The Bible disappears because you're not here. So you are the most important one in your life. And what you feel and what you think might not be right, but it is absolutely essential. So you have to know whether what you feel is true to you. And when both halves of yourself are in agreement, or you can find a balance at least between your anger and your love, then you've got it. But you've got so many spiritual people walking around going, oh yeah, you've got to do this and you've got to do that, and there's this teaching and that teaching, and we get so wrapped up with spiritual teachings that people forget to express themselves as living as gods. Now, I don't know what you want to make of the Bible, but I think there's a lot of wisdom in there, a hell of a lot more wisdom than in most books. I don't give a shit about blasphemy and stuff. I think, if there was a God, he would want us to get angry for him, because, I get so fucking angry watching police violence, the police enforcement officers that are now just policy enforcement officers, that are now just obedience enforcement officers. When are we going to get it? When are we going to realise that you are the highest authority? If you come back to yourself, come back to yourself. Any insecurities that you've got, any of that bullshit, it's probably been indoctrinated into you. So work on it. Work on those indoctrinations. Find yourself a balance. Find yourself a way of going through life without having to deny the negative or just see the positive or deny your anger. As you can see from these videos, it's okay to get angry, and I don't think I'm really offending anyone. What really offends people isn't shouting and swearing, it's backstabbing, it's lying, it's like telling somebody something that's not the truth, trying to manipulate reality for your own status good. That is evil, But you're only evil to yourself. I will never presume you as being evil. And I know, and it annoys me that people lie to me all the time, and I don't reveal those lies. I don't even know if that person's lying to themselves and doesn't even know it. And I can't address every single reality that's in front of me. It's not my job. But damn well, when I feel in my gut, when I feel spirited enough to stand up and make a video or go out and say something or write a song that'll get played on stage, that'll bring people together, that'll it's all about inspiration and not consuming. Stop trying to consume your life from the outside. Start looking at what your insecurities are. Look at what you're scared of. Because I tell you, we're so protected. We've got everything we need around us. And of course, there's people in the world who haven't got such privileges. But just because there's people who hasn't got like computer games and Xboxes and toys and fast food, doesn't mean to say that we should give that credit and go after that. That is bringing us totally away from our path. Everybody's eating shit food, watching shit media, living in a shit society, using shit money. And if we all just came back to ourselves, had the braveness to let go of all that which possesses you, all that which you possesses you. I'm not saying we go back and, I love computers, I love technology, and it's going forwards. But I can tell you now, probably, when, if you're telling me, oh yeah, we should move to the future, I know that, and I know the dangers about running proprietary commercial software like Windows, a bullshit system that nobody can get their hands on. The source code's closed, so none of the teenage kids from today can be computer software engineers because they're bound to the restrictions of Microsoft. If we all move to something like GNU systems, then everybody could choose, compute the way they want and stuff, but it's so simple to get back to freedom and humanity and individuality and abundance, and we can have computers that you can wear on your head and it'll, we're being denied this stuff by the people we pay taxes to. We've been denied these toys. I'm not talking about going to the past. I'm not talking about picking up the Bible and becoming some religious freak. Religion is just a dead-end alley. Come back to yourself. It's about individualism. It's about you being you and able to be in a group of people around you and not change too much. Obviously, we put on different faces for different groups and stuff, but Make it your face. It's got to be you. Even if you piss everyone off, at least you're individual rather than invisible. But that's a different rant anyway. I shouldn't put that on the end. But that's what the Bible's about to me. You know, it was written by some wise people years ago, and nobody else since then has been able to kind of put that kind of book in there, because since then we've got kings and emperors and nations, you know. Did you know that your constitution is based on the Bible or based on God? You know, the oaths that our politicians swear is to God. Now, if you don't believe in God, then, you know, if you don't believe that you are as God, then that whole book has, you know, the whole jurisdiction's lost. You know, common law and stuff's it's just lower man's law, really. You know, if you want the true law, it's unwritten. God's law is unwritten. Divine law is unwritten. Natural law is unwritten, not written. It is not documented. People have written it down, but it's not for you to read. It's for you to maybe reference at most. But natural law is not written. It's raining. I'm being baptized by nature itself. It's wonderful. It's so fucking wonderful. It's just so fucking wonderful. Praise be. No, I'm not. You know me. You know, you've been watching my channel for a while. I am a very literal and practical person, I think. You know, write a comment if you think I'm talking crap. It's raining. And I don't care. But everything's getting wet, so I'm off now. Yeah. Who reigns over you? Thanks for your patience anyway, people. Get yourself a Bible. Get it in different languages. Get a few of them. Start reading. Just little bits. You don't have to read the whole thing. Just read the first thing, you know. The first chapter or whatever they call it in the... Yeah, all the scholars. Scholars talk about this stuff, but they don't know much, you know. Alright, cheerio.